Today on All Out Brick, we're going to be building Bionicle set 10023, the Master Builder set. We're going to build it, review it, and then give out a score. Let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm Christian from All Out Brick. Welcome to another Motunui Monday. As always, the best way to tag along with us every week is to subscribe and turn on notifications. This week we're going to be taking a look at the Bionicle set, the Master Builder set. This was released in 2002 and will be our final set of the 2002 wave. Of course, we're going to go on through the entire theme, so up next is 2003, but this will wrap up 2002. The Master Builder set out to allow people to build up to 15 different Rahi models that were on the island of Motunui. On the front of the box, we have our all too familiar Powahi Pokoro background, along with an image of one of the models included. You'll see that big graphic that says one set of bricks, 15 models, ages 8+ with the Lego signal, and it's set 10023. This is a big difference in terms of set number compared to the other sets. On the top of the box, we have an image of 4 of the different included models, all of which are different than the one that's shown on the front of the box. So I like that they're really giving us a nice overview of different models in the set. On the back of the box, there's some other images of models. In total, we have 10 unique different models that are shown on the box itself. A really big image of the scorpion looking thing, and in the bottom right corner, a nice advertisement for Bionicle.com. I think it's important to note that the Bionicle.com advertisement is exactly the same as the ones that were from the 2001 packaging, and it doesn't match the ones from 2002 where it showed the Krana. I'm not sure, maybe this was supposed to be released in 2001 or as a very first part of the 2002 wave. I'm not entirely sure on that. Inside we receive one bag of pieces along with an instruction manual. What we're going to do is I'm going to time lapse and splice everything together for all 15 of the Rahi models. They're not going to be built at the same time, but it'll look like they're being built at the same time. We're going to go through one of the Rahi at a time, get a nice little review in for each one, some good close-ups of each one, and then at the end I'll come back, review the entire set as a whole, what I think, and then give out the all-important score. So let's waste no time at all and get started with the first Rahi build. The first model we're going to take a look at is the Kofo Jago, which is a species that was created by the Makuta. Some things about the model I like are the movable tail. I think this is a nice little inclusion. The eyes are also movable. Rubber bands keep them in place so they're always looking forwards. And there's some foot pivoting going on here. It's just a small little Technic pin that rotates around. There's a little bit of movability here. The only thing I don't like about this model is that you can't move the arms. You can move so many other things such as the eyes, feet, and tail, but you can't move the arms to really pinch down on anything. That is a bit of a disappointment in my eyes, but other than that, pretty nice little model. Next up is the Taku, and Taku is a distant relative of the gecko bird. Two things I really like about this model is that number one, you can control the pitch of the wings. They kind of move up and down, and the foot design, it attaches like a really interesting way. It's nothing I've seen before. New building technique, like that they fit it in there. However, they don't allow you to pivot this bird at the neck. It's kind of just looking up in one direction. I wish that they used a Technic pin with friction, and then they could have gotten rid of one of the front axles, and this would have allowed them to pivot the head forwards and backwards. Just a little bit of something that I missed with this model. Otherwise, pretty cute little model. Here is Hoto, which is a fiery insect that gives off a wave of heat. Really interesting little beetle design. I like the foldable wings. You can kind of almost imagine like it's flying or it's landed, stuff like that. Great eyes and nose design here. Something very unique, like the little ball joints. You can move the eyes around. Honestly, there's nothing I don't like about this model. I think for what it is, it's pretty much a perfect little beetle. I can imagine this on Motunui, and I think it brings a lot of life to the island. Next up is a small little fish. I kind of think it's a piranha called a Ruki, which lived in the seas of Motunui. It's definitely got a piranha look to it, small fins, and something that's different here that I like is there's a push function here. If you push on the back dorsal fin, the jaw snaps up and down, creating a pretty powerful bite. It's got a small little center tooth. New function here compared to the other ones. There's nothing I don't like about this model. You know, I think it's pretty good for what it is. Nice, neat little fish. Now we have Fiku, which is a tree spider on the island. You can see we've got some nice mask implementation here, is like kind of that back bulb area of the spider. Really cool bright color scheme with the bright orange. And the sole function that you can perform here is that you can move the head around just due to the ball joint that it's attached to. Something that I wish they would have figured out for the Toamata, but that's another story. The only thing I don't like here is that the head is loose in the back. I feel like I can jar it off. It's not completely solid in there. Here we have Hoey, which is a type of shore turtle on Motunui. Like the design here for the turtle aspects in terms of the look, but the back legs are kind of finicky. They move with the tail, and I really don't like how that works. The front head moves all around because of the ball joint, and I really like the turtle shell that they use with the mask here. I would have liked if they included like a second mask with this set, but I think they did a good job with this turtle. It makes a great shape. Here we have Kiwa, which is a subspecies of the gecko bird. This is a very interesting toucan looking model, if I might say, and I like the wings. At first, while I was building it, I thought it would remind me of a Nui Rama, but it definitely doesn't look like that at all. Again, the face details I'm really a big fan of. There's also a brand new play function style in here, which I gotta give major props to. It's not my favorite play function, but when you spin the gear, the wings kind of flop up and down, and it's very unique, something that I haven't seen before, something I wouldn't have imagined doing, and I give them credit for that, at least trying and doing a pretty successful run here. The biggest problem with this model, and really a bunch of the different models, is the arms fall out because of how they're connected to the axles inside of the ball joints. This just doesn't work. And all of the models I've seen, I have yet to see this work like that. They just fall out very easily due to the weight of the arms, and I hope that in future models they don't do this. I'm sure I'll see some more of this problem throughout the rest of this Master Builder set. Next up is Husi, which is an ostrich-like Rahi. I think this design's pretty cool. It definitely looks unfinished though. There definitely seems to be missing like wings or arms or something. It looks unfinished, but the biggest pro about this is the function here. Something I haven't seen before, at least in Bionicle, and it's when you twist one rod, it actually performs this mechanism where the head goes up and down from the base of the neck. It's really unique and fitting for the Bionicle world, and I think they knocked it out of the park with this model, aside from the fact that it just looks a tad unfinished. This is the included Ussel Crab. You might recognize this if you've played Motunui Online Game 1. These things are pretty much iconic in there. Finally get one in actual set form. Speaking of that game, it is a little bit disappointing that there's nowhere to really seat a Matoran on this model, especially considering how much you use the Ussel Crabs in Motunui Online Game 1. There's a simple little function where the arms can go back and forth and kind of pinch around, but nothing too special here. However, it is nice to get an iconic model in an actual set form. This model is called Kuna, which is a bog snake. I'm really not a big fan of this model, gotta be quite honest with you. Nothing I really enjoy about it. It feels really incomplete. The tail kind of like flimsies around. It's a nice little snake design, and I guess the face is probably the best part, but really it just falls super flat for me. Not a fan of this model. This model is Vako, which is a horned Rahi, which can achieve some really great speed according to the lore. I'm a pretty decent fan of this one. We have a similar gear function that we saw in a previous model earlier where you can turn it, and this adjusts kind of the angle between the back legs and the shoulders. This can change Vako from being like sitting up to being like fully stretched out, and I like how they built this into this model specifically. The head joint, ton of movement there. You got that ball joint onto the kind of Toamata foot. Some nice shoulder blades. It kind of reminds me of like a baby Muwaka or like Kanara, kind of related to that at least. And the arms and hands, they just feel a little unfinished to me. I feel like the claws should be on the ends of this model, and that would really complete it. But what we have right now just feels a tad incomplete. This model is the Rahi Makika, which is a toad-like Rahi on Motunui. This is one of my favorites so far. It's got a nice sturdy base. There's a nice little gimmick where the mouth opens and closes. Posability in the arms and the hands, just there's nothing that I didn't like here. Again, this is another model that I'm just a massive fan of. I think does a great job of standing out and using the pieces in ways that we haven't seen already. There's just not enough good things I can say about this one. Huge fan of the Makika. This model, which is really like the showcase model, the Haikaki, is pretty good. I mean, it's a really good use of the pieces is what really strikes me. I think it's very efficiently built. Doesn't look like there's any wasted pieces that are left over. The pieces that are used in good spots. It really resembles the dragon lizard, like the small dragon lizard it is. So good job there. Unfortunately, there's a little bit too much weight on one of the play functions. The one with too much weight is where you can crank the tail around to bend down at the waist. This really just ends up bending at like the hips and then it just kind of falls down, unfortunately. There's just a little too much weight there. Other than this, you can pose the legs however you want, and the arms have like a little flap to them. I think that it's pretty good. It's definitely not my favorite of the bunch, but being one of the bigger ones, this definitely didn't really disappoint it at all. This is Takeya, the shark Rahi. You may recognize it if you've played Motonui Online Game 2. This is what you catch to get your speed up. Model, I don't know, it's kind of meh. It's not as good as the Piranha one. Something that they completely left out, and I have no idea why, is rubber bands. If they used rubber bands to do the little play function here instead of making you push back and forth, I would think much higher of the model. But it really just feels like an unnecessary expansion of what the little Piranha one was. I think this absolutely could be much better than what we got, but it still certainly adds to the world of Bionicle and gives us a nice little shark model for a display. Last but not least is Fusa, the kangaroo-like Rahi. This is my favorite one that was included in the Master Builder set. It's got a function similar to the Terrakava where it can punch. The punches are pretty strong and it can bend at the hips up and down. It's got a nice little tail going. It's a little bit of a tough build, but absolutely worth it what you get here. Looks like they saved the best for last in the Master Builder set, and I couldn't be happier with what we got out of Fusa. Definitely a lot of leftover pieces, but that doesn't bother me at all because this absolutely knocks a kangaroo design out of the park. Overall, some really cool Rahi that were included as a part of the set. I really couldn't tell if like they were fan submitted models. I know sometimes there are like Bionicle fan contests that were run, and I don't know if like that's kind of how they made this or not. I don't think that's the case. I know further down the line that actually is the case for some smaller stuff, but it kind of felt a little like Lego was shorthanding it in some of the models. Granted, some of them were really great and I had no problems with some of the models, but here and there was just some things that was like, you could have done better than that, Lego, especially when you're advertising this as like a full set. Something that absolutely cripples this set, and really I think it can't come back from, is the fact that there's just not enough pieces included. You can only build one Rahi at the time. Even if you built the smallest one in the set, you will not have the pieces to build anything else. I took things apart 14 times, so in order to build all 15 Rahi, you either have to do that or have 15 Master Builder sets. So that was a horrible decision on their part. It's just crippling, in my opinion, that they didn't include like double the amount of pieces, or like, I think one of the pieces was like an orange ball socket. If they included like 4 more of those, then you could have built like 3 or 4 extra models than just one. So I don't understand that, you know. That really bothers me that Lego advertises, hey, build 15 sets, but no, you only have the pieces to build one at a time. I don't know what they expected there, so that really affects the score because I really like the set. I mean, the Rahi that are included are some pretty neat models, definitely adds to the world of Bionicle. In terms of price, what you're going to look at for the Master Builder set today is about $50 for a used version of the set and over $150 for this set brand new. Don't buy this set brand new unless like you're just collecting it, because it's really rare to find this set brand new. So only if you're going for that, get it brand new. Otherwise, don't even do that. Honestly, what I would do is just look at the Rahi that you want and then go place some Bricklink orders for those specific ones. You could even change up the colors here and really customize them any way you want. Don't buy the set because it's just going to be way more expensive to only be able to build one Rahi. Like, you see what I'm getting at here? The set itself is a big disappointment, but the Rahi that are included with it are some really cool models. So as for a score, I feel bad for it because there's such good models in here, but it's a 6.8. I'm giving the Master Builder set a 6.8. It's just crippling that they don't include more pieces. I don't understand the decision there on Lego's behalf, and it's such a sour way to end 2002, which was such a consistent year. Like, we look at the models that we did in 2002, it was kind of like an 8 blank. Like, it was always in the 8s almost every time. So to end on such a bad note, this is definitely the worst score that I've given out so far. It definitely doesn't represent 2002. I think 2002 was more consistent than 2001. 2001 was a little like hit and miss. They had some great ones and some ones. We'll see what happens with 2003. That's going to come up starting next week. So 6.8, that's your review. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to be the first to see all of our future content. Also, be sure to check us out on our website and on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Until next time, stay bricking.